Hello, good evening. Welcome to yet another module of this program, the Managerial Economics. I've done module 1, module 2A, module 2. I'm going to do module 2B for you now, then we continue like that. So please join me I'm not using my video, so it's just going to be general discussion. So I'm going to share my screen and then start the discussion. I want to be as fast as I can because of time and this instability of the network. Now, this module 2 is what is called I named this module as module 2B because module 2A is all about demand and demand concepts and elasticity, and this module B is going to be about demand estimation. It's going to be about demand estimation. How do we estimate demand for the purpose of product selling and planning how to produce, what to produce, and for who to produce. We said business enterprise needs to know the demand for its product. An existing unit must know current demand for its product in order to avoid underproduction or overproduction. The current demand should be known for determining pricing and promotion policies so that it is able to secure optimum sales or maximum profit. Such information about the current demand for the firm's product is known as demand estimation. Demand estimation is the process of finding current values of demand for various values of prices and other determining variables. You find that this is very interesting because it's fairly straightforward, except for the techniques. Now, demand estimation. What are the steps taken in demand estimation? You just estimate what is the estimate of our demand for our product, so that you'll be able to see the level of demand for the product. Whether you are overproducing, which means when you continue, you will be left with so much stock in your warehouse, or when you are underproducing, whereby you will always have more demand, people coming to look for your goods, which will create shortage. Now, the first step in demand estimation is identification of independent variables such as price of substitute, population, per capita income, advertisement, expenditure, etc. You first identify that. Then collection of data on the variables from past records, publication of various agencies, etc. What has been the kind of the price range for the product? What has been the price range for substitute to the product? What is the population growth? What is the per capita income of the people, which means if the economy is growing, people per capita income is also increasing. How much are we spending on expenditure? How much our competitors are also spending on expenditure? Now you collect all this data. Then development of mathematical model or equation that indicates the relationship between independent and dependent variables. That means if you're doing econometric modeling, and then estimation of the parameters of the model, i.e. to estimate the unknown values of the parameters of the model. Development estimate based on the model. Then you now develop estimate based on the model. This is the mathematical or what do you call it, the statistical side of it. Now, demand establishment tools and techniques for demand establishment include consumer surveys, consumer clinic and focus group, market experiment, and statistical techniques. Now, we now take this one after the other. These are the tools used, the mechanism used for actually doing a demand estimation for a product. There's something which is called demand forecasting as opposed to demand estimation. Accurate demand forecasting is essential for a firm to enable it to produce the required quantities at the right time, and to manage well in advance for the various factors of production. Forecasting helps the firm to assess the probable demand for its product and plan its production accordingly. Demand forecast refers to an estimate of future demand for the product. Now, demand estimation is current demand for the product. But demand forecasting is futuristic, looking at the future, planning for the future, getting data and information that will enable the company to plan for the future. Demand forecast refers to an estimate of future demand for the product. It is an objective assessment of the future cost of demand. It is essential to distinguish between forecast of demand and forecast of sales. Sales forecast is important for estimating revenue, cash requirements, and expenses. Demand forecast state to and production, inventory control, timing, reliability of forecast, and etc. So when we're talking about demand forecasting, we're not talking about sales forecast. Sales forecast is just about revenue, forecasting for revenue and cash flow into the company. But demand estimation is looking at the future trend of demand as it relates to production and inventory control. Demand forecasting. Levels of demand forecasting. Demand forecasting may be undertaken at 3 different levels. Now, again, the demand forecasting and demand estimation. Demand estimation is talking about current demand, whereas demand forecasting is talking about the future. So we'll concentrate more on the future, trying to see how we can plan the future, because any farm that cannot plan for its future, then it may be planning to fail by itself. So there are levels. One is macro level. Macro level demand forecasting is related to the business condition prevailing in the economy as a whole. It's not micro, it's macro. What is the situation in the country generally? Because the situation of the country with regards to economic activity, with the health of the economy, will affect demand for goods and services significantly, because it will affect people's income and welfare. Now, industry level, and that's industry level forecast. It is prepared by different trade associations in order to estimate the demand for particular industry products. Industry includes number of firms. It is used for inter-industry comparison. Again, you need to understand one very clear difference. The difference between a farm and an industry. Ordinarily, a farm is one company. An industry is a group of companies producing similar products. That's why you hear about textile industry. You hear about telephone industry. You hear about motor industries like that. So that's, and each of these industries have associations, like the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria. Even under Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, you have different groups, household product groups, you have cement production group, you have oil process, something like that. So each industry tries to do an industry level forecast of demand so that each farm on that level can actually plan against the forecast. And then farm level, it is more important from a managerial viewpoint, as it helps the management in deciding, decision making with regards to the farm's demand and production. This farm level, which means at the level of the company, it will do this forecasting for its own purposes, which is taken into consideration its own internal advantages and disadvantages and other things. So this one is more important in terms of managerial decision, because you are looking at yourself and planning for your future. Demand forecasting again. Short-term demand forecasting. Short-term demand forecasting is limited to short periods, usually for 1 year. Important purpose of short-term demand forecasting are given below. Now, the short-term demand forecasting, that's the long-term. Now, this is short-term. Why do companies do short-term demand forecasting? Making a suitable production policy to avoid overproduction or underproduction. That's the main purpose, the most important. It allows the company to know when to produce more or when to produce less, so that it doesn't left with unsold stock or with high demand and met demand. Helping the farm to reduce the cost of purchasing raw materials and to control inventory. Now, looking at your production, the future of your production, the future of your demand, you can be able to control your production, control your inventory controls. Because when you buy raw materials, you are tying down your money. So you buy raw material that would probably let's keep you for 1 month going, or for 3 months, rather than buying so much stock that you may be able to use, considering the level of, or you produce what you cannot be able to sell and then you have to keep in the warehouse and things like that. Deciding suitable price policy so as to avoid an increase when the demand is low. Setting correct sales target on the basis of future demand and establishment control. A high target may discourage salesmen. When you have a salesman, you have to give them target that is reasonable. That's why what is happening in banking sometimes is very ridiculous, when you give people very ridiculous targets that they can hardly meet. Now, it discourages hard work, because no matter how hard you will be able to meet the target. So firms are also interested in being realistic in their own forecast of demand, so that they can give sales target assessments, reasonable sales target. Forecasting short-term financial requirements for plant production and other things. Long-term demand forecasting. This forecasting is meant for long period. The important purpose of long-term forecasting is given below. Planning of a new unit or expansion of existing on the basis of analysis of long-term potential of the product demand. Now, if you're planning for long term, you're now looking at the possibility of either expanding the farm or bringing in new products, which will all require detailed analysis of current situation, as then forecasting what happens in the future before you decide and take that kind of decision whether to expand or not to expand. Planning long-term financial requirements on the basis of long-term sales forecast. Also, you do that, okay, if we are growing at this rate, what should be our cash requirement? Do we need more funding? Do we need new investment? Do we need to borrow? Do we need to go public and raise shares and things like that, whatever? To forecast future problems of material supply and energy crisis. Then planning of manpower requirements can be made on the basis of long-term sales forecast. Also, you know how many people you want to carry along, you want to hire more people. So you plan all that, and then you begin to hire people and train them and put them on the line before you eventually decide to expand or something like that. To forecast future problems of material supply and energy crisis, of course, yes. You know, for a country like Nigeria, where uh, where energy is a very major issue, especially with electricity, then having a plan to take care of eventualities is also very critical for the survival of the farm. Demand forecasting is a vital tool for marketing management. It is also helpful in decision making and forward planning. It enables the farm to produce right quantities at right time and arrange well in advance for the factors of production needed for the production. Demand forecasting for new product. Method of demand forecasting. Survey method. Under this method, information about the desire of the consumers and opinions of experts are collected and interviewed them. By interviewing them, this can be divided into 4 types. Opinion survey method. This method is also known as Salesforce composite method or collective opinion method. Under this method, the company asks its salesmen to submit estimate for future sales in their respective territories. This method is more useful and appropriate because the salesmen are more knowledgeable about their territory. I think this is very clear. You just ask your people to give their own estimate of the future demand for the product or the future sales estimate for the future. Then the expert opinion. Apart from salesmen and consumers, distributors or outside experts may also be used for forecasts. Firms in advanced countries like USA, UK, etc. make use of outside experts for estimating future demand. Various public and private sell periodic forecasts and short or long-term business conditions. Also self-explanatory. Delphi method, it is a sophisticated statistical method to arrive at a consensus. Under this method, a panel is selected to give suggestions to solve the problem in hand. Both internal and external experts can be the members of the panel. Panel members are kept apart from each other and express their views in an anonymous manner. You see, now this one is sophisticated because you use people both within the organization and outside the organization who are expert in that field, who give their own estimation based on certain parameters without anyone knowing anyone. Still there. Without anyone knowing anyone, without anybody knowing what other person suggested. This justly, this just to be able to have an expert opinion undiluted, uncompromised by people's thinking. Then interview method. Under this method, list of potential buyers will be drawn and each buyer will be approached and asked about their buying plans. This method is ideal and it gives first-hand information, but it's costly and difficult to conduct. This one is very difficult to conduct, sincerely speaking. So most companies don't afford the last method. Then what we've been talking about demand estimation for existing product. What for new product? That's what is called evolutionary approach. In this method, the demand for new product is estimated on the basis of the existing product, e.g. demand for custom for color TV on the basis of the demand for black and white TV. If the demand for black and white, then when we are using black and white, it's high, then you can, based on that, you can now project color TV demand will also be high. Substitute approach. The demand for the new product is analyzed as substitute for the existing product. Growth curve approach. On the basis of the growth of an established product, the demand for the new product is estimated. Yes, when you have a product that has been around for a long time and you want to, you can use the basis of its growth for the demand of, I mean, if a product is doing very well, then it can be a reason, a basis for estimating that, okay, the demand for a new product that compete with it or that is similar to it will be very high. Opinion poll approach. In this approach, the demand for the new product is estimated by inquiring directly from consumers by using sample survey. Then sales experience approach. The demand is estimated by supplying the new product in a sample market and analyzing the immediate response on that product in the market. Like if you are coming in newly, you just do the product, you start marketing it just at a small scale to see the response of the market before you now decide to go whole hog in producing large quantities. And and I can't read this one very well. I'm sorry. You can read it. What are the factors affecting demand forecasting? The following are the important factors governing demand forecasting. Prevailing business conditions. Prevailing business conditions, price level change, per capita income, consumption pattern, saving, investment, employment is business condition in the country. Like it is top right now in Nigeria, very, very top. Condition within the industry, price, product, competition policy of firms within the industry. How competitive firms are operating in the industry. How can I enter? Just like if you take for instance, the telephone companies. If any new GSM company is coming in, is interested in knowing the kind of the price being charged for the services, the product being offered to consumers, and the level of competition, and how policies are controlling competition in the industry and all that and all that. Condition within the farm, plant capacity, quality, important policies of the farm. Of course, it's also very important. What a farm is, what policies a farm is pursuing for itself. Factors affecting export trade, exim control, exim policy, terms of export, blah, 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 market behavior. This one expects companies that hope to go into the export business. Sociological conditions, population detail, age group, family life cycle, education, family income, social, etc. Psychological conditions, how people psychology and competitive condition within the industry and things like that. They are all important factors that affect demand forecasting and make it realistic and reasonable if every step is taken carefully. Criteria for good forecasting method. A good forecasting method should satisfy the following criteria. Plausibility, it should be reasonable and reliable. You just don't do something just for doing sake. You just don't do something for the fancy of it. It must be reasonable and believable. Simplicity, it should be simple and easy. Everybody can be able to read and make meaning out of it. Economy should be less costly. You don't have to spend so much money trying to do a demand forecasting, because that will add to your cost of production, or that will make your company a cost leader, which you wouldn't like. Accuracy, it should be as accurate as possible. That means you're taking care to ensure that whatever you are doing is that you eliminate error a lot in the collection of data, analysis of data, and then making those projections. Availability, relevant data should be easily available, and flexibility should be flexible to adopt required changes. So sometimes when you have the forecast, you finish forecasting and then you plan based on the forecast, you can actually modify it. Thank you very much, and do have a good evening. I'm stopping here.